Well, it's a great pleasure for me to have this opportunity to talk to, and I don't know the order, astronaut, doctor, captain, Johnny Kim. Certainly someone that, a lot of my friends were uh, emailing me about, and I'm sure you've read about Johnny Kim, an astronaut, Navy SEAL, mathematician, doctor. And we're going to talk with him. Perhaps you do know or didn't know uh, some of the challenges and struggles he faced, first as an individual, but also as a Korean American and Asian American. So I don't know what to refer to you as, Dr. Kim, Captain Kim, or just Johnny Kim.
I'm a down to earth guy, so I prefer Jonny Kim.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Long list of titles. Let me start with this. You are currently awaiting flight assignment. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you completed your astronaut training fairly recently, and you're in the Artemis program. Could you tell us a little bit about what the Artemis program is and what you're awaiting to do?
Yeah, so I graduated astronaut training earlier this year in January 2020. The Artemis program is the name of our program to return to the moon. So for those watching who may not know, the program that sent our astronauts back in the 60s and 70s, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Mike Collins on that first journey, that program was named Apollo. And Artemis is the Greek goddess of the moon and the twin sister of Apollo. And so it's aptly named as we return to the moon to stay and to gain knowledge and learn how we can move forward to Mars. And it's also the mission that's going to plant the first woman on the lunar surface.
Hmm. Now, are you set for that, or do you find out later if you will be traveling to the moon?
I am not assigned to a mission. So with the recent announcement, I've been named to the Artemis team with 17 other astronauts, but these are not mission assignments. We are working closely in tandem with a lot of our commercial partners in developing next generation space vehicles to make this a reality. And so a lot of the astronauts in our core are going to be eligible to go to the moon.
So, as with many things, wait and find out what happens next. And I'm sure you're very used to that.
If you've been in the military, you know what it means.
Right. So let me ask you this. I mean, what was it like? Because, we've seen sometimes in movies or on television, little snippets of astronaut training. It seems extremely rigorous. And you've been through a lot of rigorous settings. How was this compared to some of the other things you've been through?
Yeah, so I get that question a lot. I don't think it's a really fair comparison. Strictly speaking, I think you know military training to be a special warfare operator is quite rigorous. It's physically demanding. It pushes you beyond any mental capacity you might think you have. But in a lot of different ways, raising a family while going through graduate school and working on the side was just as difficult and challenging. And a lot of ways, being an astronaut brings its own set of challenges. But the common thread through all of that has been a supportive network and strong teammates that have been able to propel me through those challenges. So it's we do a challenging job. It's very rewarding, but it's possible because we have such a strong organization.
Do you think about what it would be like to be in space? And that has got to be just a completely different type of feeling. First of all, it's a scary feeling to me, to be sent out into space in a spaceship. What propelled you to do this? Why do you want to do something like this?
Well, I think in all of us, we have an innate desire to explore, to see what's around the corner, to push beyond our own limits of what's possible. I've certainly been intrigued in doing so at a very young age. When I first felt the calling to join the SEAL teams, I wanted to push beyond human limits. I wanted to grow stronger. I wanted to learn more. And so this desire is in all of us. And so, one, the desire to explore, the desire to push beyond human limits, but also the desire to leave the world a better place. And I know we all innately have the desire as well. What is spectacular about the job that I feel very humbled and privileged to do on a daily basis, beyond doing all the cool things that come with being an astronaut and the cool experiences and the great opportunity to go to space, is that we have a real opportunity to help plant the seeds for the next generation, help inspire the next leaders, the next scientists, doctors, the next astronauts, kids who want to dream big. And I think that's a really healthy part of being a kid, is having dreams and having the confidence to chase those dreams.
A light bulb turned on when you were 16 and you heard about the Navy SEALs. What light bulb turned on?
I think there's times in all of our lives when we hear something and it captures us. And at least for me, it became a very strong calling, a calling that I had never really felt a strong sense. And, I try and think about what it was about hearing about naval special warfare that drew me so much to it. And I think the strongest element of it was being a warrior and developing the strength, the character, all the values that a warrior needs to have. And that type of quiet confidence, that ability to do very difficult things with teammates and not need to advertise one's actions. I think that self-confidence, that humility drew me in a very strong way to the military. And for all those reasons is why I wanted to join and serve.
I've read that you said it was the best decision you could have made. It transformed you. But even before then, you seem to have totally devoted yourself to physical training, preparation for 2 years. You didn't even apply to college, and you had good grades in high school. How could you explain that to some of our young viewers, that level of commitment and determination and kind of like go for broke attitude that, hey, this is what I'm doing. Like you just knew this is what I got to do, and transform yourself into someone who could get through Navy SEAL training?
I don't mean to, when I share my story, don't mean to suggest or imply that you need to do something extreme or join the military or become a Navy SEAL. I think the heart of my story that people can learn from is working hard to chase your dreams, whatever that might be. The most important thing for my own children when they tell me what they want to do is that they chase their dreams for themselves. I don't want them to fill any role or chase any path that they think they might be doing for their parents or their friends or for what society even expects of them. I think it's so important that people are happy and passionate about their path and they chase their dreams for themselves. And that actually might be a quite unpopular idea, especially among Asian immigrant families. But it's one that I highly advocate for everyone I talk to. And it's one that I have lived by from the very beginning, because I certainly didn't have the kind of support initially when I told others of my dreams to be a special warfare operator. It just wasn't something that people like me, people who looked like me, or people who came from my background did. But I didn't care. I wanted it very badly. And I think that's what separates people who are successful with their goals. is that they just want it more than the next person. I had a really insightful instructor during SEAL training who said to me, you know what's the difference between someone who quits and who doesn't? And I said, what? And he said, one person just wants it more than the other. And at the simplest level, that's what it really comes down to. And of course, there's a lot of values that you need to apply, a lot of leadership, followership. You need to work hard. You need to have a good attitude. Those are all applicable. But having that deep desire, that motivation, that ambition is really important for that initial spark.
You've done over 100 combat missions, obviously some, very hard situations, some tragedies, and you made a commitment to go to medical school and to become a doctor, a physician. And I believe you were or are in the medical corps, in the Navy. But from there, it seems like an amazing thing that despite your accomplishments and everything, you end up in Harvard Medical School. From college, being commissioned an officer, mathematics as a background, which is not, it's just generally that must be something you're good at, because a lot of us don't like math. There seems to be like the need for a right answer. And then what happens is, so again, was that like a far-fetched idea that you said, hey, you know what, I'm gonna go for it? Or was it kind of like, hey, you know what, Harvard is the medical school I want to go to, I'm gonna apply?
For me, there's a lot of deep reasons why I wanted to be a physician. And so I certainly love medicine. I was a combat medic during the war, and I had a lot of wartime experiences that inspired me to want to take my level of service in that direction. But it wasn't, I'd be lying if I said it was purely my love of medicine. What I really appreciated about medicine is the opportunity to positively impact people's lives. And that's also why I wanted to be an emergency physician, because what I appreciate about the emergency room, being an emergency room doctor, and I want to be clear, I didn't finish my residency training, but I was training to be one, is that the emergency doctors, we've seen in this recent pandemic or the ongoing pandemic, people don't go to the emergency room when they're fine. They go in their worst hour, and you have that opportunity to impact, to help someone in their worst hour. And so those are reasons that are consistent with why I wanted to be a doctor, to be able to help people and have that positive impact in someone's life. And those are the same reasons why I wanted to be an astronaut. So for me, when I made that decision to be a doctor, it was for that impact, for that opportunity, not necessarily because I just love medicine, which I do love medicine. And for the same reason, choosing Harvard wasn't part of that calculus. It was, I want to make an impact. And that was an institution that gave me that platform to do so.
There is a portion of who you are and what motivates you that has to do with you being Korean American. And I read a quote from you, and I'm just going to summarize it, that said, I wanted to be the best I could be, to be a good representation, and to disprove any Asian stereotypes. And that kind of goes along with another quote I read from you that said, I was the only Asian in a lot of things I was doing. If anything, it made me stronger. What part of that, because I know you just said, and you've shown in your life that you are a person who really isn't kind of catering to different people's views of what you should or shouldn't do, but yet you were affected in a way enough to say, hey, listen, I have to go out there and represent, and in living my life and achieving my mission, I want to communicate to people that you can't just kind of categorize me based on my outward appearance and other people who look like me.
I think I had to go back and maybe give a little bit of context of those quotes that you said were, I'm certainly a proud Korean American. I'm a very proud American service member. And breaking stereotypes is certainly something that I wanted to do, to provide perspective, to open people's eyes that diversity is strong in so many ways, but it certainly wasn't a driving factor. I think it would be a false statement to say that being Korean American inspired me to take this path. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's just that it's a much deeper intrinsic desire to serve humanity and to leave this world a better place that transcends race, politics, ethnicity, religion.
For you, where does that come from? This desire to leave the world a better place and to serve humanity.
I think that reason has evolved over the years. I certainly had a more selfish reason for wanting to join the military, wanting to discover my identity and discover the depths of my limits, and really just to become a better version of myself. And those reasons evolved of why I wanted to stay in the military and serve and continue to try to leave a positive impact. And, I spoke a little bit about wartime experiences. I'm very lucky and very blessed to be here before you today. In a lot of ways, I'm living on borrowed time, and there are more deserving people who should be alive today that aren't. And when you fight alongside and you serve alongside people like that, it leaves an effect on you that is hard to articulate. But that is one of many reasons that have inspired me to want to pursue medicine, to want to pursue being an astronaut, to want to continue to be a public servant. It's the common thread behind it all.
Well, listen, I really appreciate, and on behalf of everyone who's involved in this Korean American Day celebration here in Philadelphia, I want to thank you for sharing your time with us. I have one last task for you to do, and would you share with us what you would say today to that 12-year-old or 11-year-old Jonny Kim in South LA?
It's the same thing I'd say to anyone that's 12 or really any kid that is not just in this country, but in the world. And what I would say is that you are valued and loved, and that your dreams are important, and nothing should stop you from being able to chase your dreams.